Hi guys, John here from Optics Warehouse. So we're going to be answering one of the popular questions that we get asked here at Optics, which is, where does your money actually go when you're spending it on a scope? So what does that extra actually get you? So I'm going to cover a few of the sort of cheaper options going up and just sort of cover what that gets you as you come up through the price range until we reach these two premium scopes here. And then we're going to see where the difference actually comes once you're spending that premium money. So we'll use the Schmidt as an example for now. Obviously, when you go from budget scopes being £100, £200 mark, obviously everything is in the same place as such, apart from obviously the illumination. You still get your mag ring there, you still get your ocular adjustment there. Side focus, if you're lucky enough to have it, if not it's front focus, but your turrets are in the same place as well. So what does the money actually get you? So obviously, normally the more premium scopes are made out of a one-piece tube. Obviously your real budget stuff, sort of £50 to £100, maybe even coming up a little bit from there in certain cases, they're generally made of a two-piece tube. So you'll have the rear end of the scope and then you have your objective end screwed into that. Obviously that creates a weaker scope, so it doesn't quite perform as well on your full bore and heavier recoiled rifles. With that as well is glass quality. Obviously the more you spend, the better glass you can have in there. Most cheaper scopes you're going to find are Chinese, then you move on to Philippines, then you've got Japanese, and then you've got your German shot glass. So obviously your German shot is the top of the range, and that's also where you get your most fine detail and able to use higher magnification ranges at extended distances. So with that as well, with the cheaper scopes, when you're dialing or any mechanical adjustment inside, it's generally made down to a price. So obviously that you're going to have inaccuracies. When you're dialing, it may not dial true. You may end up dialing up and you'll come up to the right or up to the left, sort of a percentage. Whereas when you start spending a bit more money on the scopes and coming up in that quality range, they can put more into the turret. It's then not built to a cost, it's built to do the job properly or built to perform. So that will allow you to be a lot more accurate with your adjustments and not have that huge percentage of sort of incorrect adjustment at longer ranges. When you're using your scope at short ranges, which is what most budget scopes are, you're not really going to notice that much difference, because obviously the further you go out, the more it magnifies the difference of what a good scope to a bad or even a mediocre scope will do. So moving up through, you spend a few £100 on the scope plus, so we're going to put that bracket as sort of 250 to 500. With them scopes, once again, you start getting lock-in turrets. So same sort of design as this, where you pull up, you twist and you push down. Nice features, great, and it once again though, you've paid on the lower end 250 mark, you're putting all the money into all the gimmicks of the scope. So you're putting money into illumination, you're putting money into the turrets. That quality's got to then go somewhere. So you generally find it's cheaper materials, thinner tube, lower quality glass to get them extras. So that price bracket, that's why I've put it from 250 to 500, because you really need to be spending up near the 500 mark to get the best out of using them locking turrets on the scopes. So we're going to then jump again. Now we're going to go to the £1,000 plus range really, because you don't really get too much of a difference apart from a little bit better quality glass and a little bit better quality adjustments and a whole sort of more well-rounded package. Once we come up into the premium scopes, being £1,000 plus, then you start seeing everything come into one really nice usable package. So things like Vortex Viper PST, then you've got your Athlon Midas tack range, your BTR, the Delta Strikers, you've got the Delta Titaniums, all of them have really nice quality glass, really good quality internals, just allow for dialing to be that bit more accurate and the scope to be repeatable. And that's the main thing that you pay money for. You pay money for good glass and repeatable mechanics inside. Moving up from that, the more you use a scope, generally you're going to pay a lot more money if it's something you use often. The reason for that as well, if you're using it often, you're going to wear it out. So the more expensive scopes are made of a lot tougher materials inside. So things like this Schmidt & Bender, the Delta, and this Tangent Theta here, they're all made of stainless steel internals. You can see that when you have the bits apart, and I'll show you a little bit more detail on the Tangent when we move on to that a little bit later. But with regards to that, obviously as I say, it's stainless steel internals, it's not going to rust, it's very hard wearing, so it will take a lot of abuse and a lot of years of use before you have to upgrade it. So once again, as I say, that is where the money goes. It's a lot more difficult to machine them high quality, harder materials than it is to knock it out of aluminium and sort of couple of hundred scopes every few minutes in one of the big factories. That's where your price difference comes from. And that's why you see a lot of precision shooters, they won't use a cheaper scope. You tell them, even down the range, you say to them, well, what's this like? And you've turned up with your £700 or £800 scope. Oh, they might say it's okay, but they wouldn't put it on their rifle because they need that time and time again precision and reliability. So now we're going to move on to the Schmidt and this tangent fader here. So with these, as you can see, they come with tenor brass covers. Now bearing in mind, this Schmidt retails at about £2,500. This tangent fader retails at nearly £5,000. On the outside, looking at them, you don't see much difference between the two scopes. As I said, same with the budget ones moving up to this. Everything's in the same places. Your turrets are the same, side focus, all the adjustments are where they should be. So then it comes down to build quality and finish. Why is a Schmidt, which is classed as one of the better scopes or the best scopes you can buy, why do you then need to spend an extra £2,500 on this tangent fader to be competitive or to be sort of up there with the best of them? Realistically, you don't need to spend that much. It's nice to, and it's always nice to have the best. So with moving on with that, let's have a closer look at this. So the Schmidt, to adjust that back to zero, you need tools. Obviously it's not necessarily important, but it's easier to adjust at the range if you don't need it. Now they've thought of this by having a really quick and easy use there. As you undo this, it lifts the turret up off the base, and that whole lot, after a few more turns, pops off. Now if you look at the internals here, it is so nicely made. Everything's real clinically precision. It's clean, it's tidy. There's no muck, no dirt, no extra grease where it doesn't need to be in there. Everything is literally made perfectly of this. Now, when you go to something like one of the Schmidts or something of that price range, you may see like a bit of thread lock that's in an area it shouldn't be, or like a bit too much grease that you don't need there. That's not the fact that it's overlooked, it's the fact that they don't have to be so clinically precision because you're paying £2,500, not £5,000 for something. So obviously when you're paying the £5,000 odd mark for this, everything has to be perfect. If they make something that isn't quite right, or it doesn't look right, or it doesn't feel right, you're going to notice straight away, and you're paying good money for it, so you expect it to be right. That's the difference between the Tangent and a Schmidt. They both will do the same job. Arguably, this will do it better, because you should have that bit more clarity, and it should perform that bit better with the reliability and just the precision of going back to that same spot each time. Once you've dialed it round, done your box tests, and moving the scope to extremes, this should do it year upon year upon year upon year with no issues whatsoever. And that's why you end up paying that more premium money for a scope like that. So that pretty much rounds up where your money goes on a scope and why you do need to spend more. But obviously it's down to you how much you need to spend, because obviously budget is, everyone's different, and also how much you use the rifle and what you actually want out of it. So if you've got any more questions on that, please feel free to give us an email or drop us a call, and we'll try and get back to you. Thanks for watching.